The whole time in Deuteronomy, he's talking about faith. He tells them, take the law of God and write it on your hand.
Right.
And put it on the frontlet of your head. So that it will keep you from what? Worshiping the works of your own hands for life. That was the point. Now, the law of God was Christ and Him crucified.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I keep Christ and Him crucified before my eyes, it keeps me from enlisting the works of my hands to have life.
Sure.
And so when Moses gets down to Deuteronomy 30, he's talking about faith. And if you notice, in Romans 10, Paul quotes Deuteronomy 30. When he starts talking about salvation is not so far from you that you must now get up to heaven to bring it down, or you must go below to bring it up. But it's near you, even in your heart and in your mouth. Well, go read Deuteronomy 30. That's what Moses says.
Mm.
Life is not far from you.
Wow.
It's near you. He's talking about faith. He's not talking about performing the carnal ordinances in the law of Moses. Moses was not busy telling them in Deuteronomy 28, if they could perform the carnal ordinances in the law of Moses, they could have life. That's not what he was telling them. He was telling them the pestilence had come upon them because they were trusting in their ability to do the law of Moses instead of trusting in the grace of God. And so Moses was telling them that life and blessing is not found in performing the works of the law of Moses, but life and blessing is found in believing on the grace of God. That's what he was busy telling them. And that's why it says the law is written on our heart. Not the law of Moses, the law of you are a son. The law of you can't appear as a son by using your ability, but you can only appear as a son by believing on the grace of God. That law has been written in my heart. And do you know what it does? It acts as a frontlet in my head and on my arm, always reminding me that I can't have life by the works of my own hands.
Yes. Amen.
And see, that's the fulfillment of Deuteronomy.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to pass. When we first get into grace, we think so grace law about everything, that we think, that Moses was teaching them they could have those blessings if they performed the law of Moses. That's not what he was teaching them. He was teaching them about faith. And if you actually look underneath, when Jesus looked at the law of Moses, he didn't see, I must perform the carnal ordinances. Do you know what he saw? He saw the Father telling him he couldn't have life by his ability, but he could have life by the grace of the Father.
Yes.
That's what he saw when he looked at the law. He saw faith. And that's why Paul says in Romans 3, do we destroy the law through the preaching of faith? No. We actually establish the law of God. For the law of God was always faith.
Mm-hmm.
Even the word Torah, I said this a long time ago, and I'm glad people, like 4 years ago I said this, and I'm so glad people are grabbing onto it and starting to catch it. But when you break the word Torah up, which is the word law in Hebrew, when you break that up in each individual letter, do you know what it means? Behold the man who hung on the cross. That's what it says. When you break down each individual letter and you use the meaning behind, behold the man who hung on the cross. That's what Torah means.
Really? Yeah.
And so that's what the law of God has always been. But man was carnal, sold under sin. We couldn't see the law of God for what it was. And we were so busy thinking life was found in what we did, we looked upon the law of Moses and thought, we got to do all that stuff, man, so we can be blessed.
That's right.
That's right.